How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan. Now, if you are a fan of the show, you know one thing. We've been calling for the Yankees to promote prospects for a very long time, and they are finally doing it. Jason Dominguez, Austin Wells getting promoted, and the Yankees are going to have potentially tomorrow 5 rookies or 5 youngsters. I don't know if you label Oswald Peraza as a rookie, but he essentially is a rookie. 5 young players. Some of them have never even stepped foot on the MLB baseball diamond before in the batting order. I mean, I have never seen this in my entire life as a Yankee fan. I don't know if you guys 30, 40 years old have ever seen the Yankees do something like this, promoting this many young players and having them feature in the lineup at the same time. I can't recall a time. That we weren't in playoff contention. So, this season definitely marks a pretty interesting situation for the Yankees. And I'm glad for one thing. They saw the only path they had to take. This was the path, right? Every other path was just a road to nowhere. This was the only path that gave them the information and data that they could make better decisions in the future. I'm just glad they made the choice. They made the decision to actually think about the future and the forward kind of mentality of what this team needs to do to get back on track. And ultimately, you're going to see Peraza, you're going to see Everson Pereira, you're going to see Dominguez, you're going to see Austin Wells, you're going to see Anthony Volpe, who's been here all year, even Oswaldo Cabrera. This is a really interesting time to be a Yankee fan, Ryan. How are you feeling about all these young prospects getting called up, and how excited are you to see Dominguez and, of course, Austin Wells?
Yeah, so this is definitely the right direction for the Yankees to take in terms of, what's best for what they're going to learn in the regular season. Right now, as you mentioned, they're out of playoff contention for the most part. They're not mathematically eliminated, but in terms of probability, it's a matter of time that they're going to become eliminated from the postseason. And that's an unfortunate thing, right? We can talk about why they're here, and, that's an entirely different conversation that will likely happen over the offseason. But this, as you mentioned, gives them an opportunity to learn about the guys they have in the farm system, and this is the highest ceiling kind of move you can go for here. If these guys, start showing signs of something, then you have some cost-controlled talent, and you can go into 2024 and see if it continues there. But if you look at what the Yankees did from 2017 to 2019, when they were third in win percentage at 605 percent, at a 605% win rate, they were first in F WAR from rookies at 18.1 by a wide margin. They were first in WRC plus from rookies by a wide margin. That they were first in that as well at 125. Really, if you look at what they did well those years, it was promoting young talent, and you had guys like Andujar, Torres, Judge, Sanchez. They all came up. I understand that not all those guys panned out the way you wanted them to. Really, the only 2 guys that you think of from that group that are still here are Judge and Torres. I know Severino's technically still here, but he's not the player he was before. But those guys played large roles in what the Yankees did from 2017 to 2019, where it felt like, once you got Garrett Cole, that was the last piece you needed. But unfortunately, what the Yankees didn't account for was the fact that they didn't have any more guys they really could produce after 2019. And in that window of 2020 to 2022, it was a lot of just you had to rely on veterans. You had to take a lot of gambles on guys. You were forced to pay players and extend players because you didn't have options internally to fix or fix certain positions or replace them. Do the Yankees have to extend Aaron Hicks? Do the Yankees have to extend DJ LeMahieu? Do the Yankees have to make the trade for Josh Donaldson if they have internal guys, right? I know people they like to use, I think it was ESPN. They used the line of demarcation was the Stanton trade. I disagree. I don't think that's where the Yankees started going on the downspin. They won 100 games the next 2 seasons after. They won the division in 2019, and the teams that knocked them out were the clear-cut best teams in the American League that year. They went out and signed Garrett Cole right after. Giancarlo Stanton wasn't stopping them from signing Garrett Cole, so is Giancarlo Stanton now stopping them from signing top talent? I don't believe that. I think that's just a poor retelling of the Yankees story. Their ability to have cost-controlled talent, I'm not even mentioning guys like Chad Green, Jordan Montgomery. Those guys played large roles in the Yankees pitching staff and allowed the Yankees to not have to spend in the bullpen and in the rotation in certain cases. And overall, Alex, I think the best thing I can kind of take away from the Yankees promoting all these guys is it's going to give the Yankees an opportunity to figure out if they can build another core, right? If they can't, then you can fire the GM, right? That's the guy who drafted these guys or signed these guys internationally. That's the guy who oversees their development. And if they don't pan out, well, then you got to fire the GM. It is what it is, right? You kind of restart organizationally. You know what you have. These next 2 years are going to be very telling for what the Yankees are over the next 5 to 6 years, right? But it's not like all these guys are graduating, and then you look at the farm system and you say, okay, there's nothing left there, right? There's still Ben Rice there. There's still Spencer Jones, who hit his first Double-A home run, a grand slam to put the Somerset Patriots ahead. You've got plenty of pitching talent down there. Will Warren, Clayton Beater, Richard Fitz, Drew Thorpe, Brock Selvage is a 20-year-old who's in high A, and he's pitching pretty well. So, you have talent in the farm still, and, George Lombard Jr., Roderick Arias, Kiner Delgado in the FCL and Single A. You have talent throughout the farm. Now these guys are graduating. You feel like you can create a consistent pipeline of young talent, and that's what's going to be the way for the Yankees to win long term.
Well, you know what I think gives prospects a little bit more confidence is knowing that their end of their journey will end up in the MLB. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the time over the past couple of years, prospects were fighting and churning and doing everything they could and not getting called up and not getting opportunities, mainly because the Yankees had so much money invested in multiple positions. Obviously, Donaldson at 25 mil, Stanton at 32 mil. Now you got Judge on the big contract. They were just trying to get rid of some of these deals, and instead of using the youth in terms of playing for the Yankees, they were trading them away and trying to leverage them to get better prospects. But it seems like we've been waiting for this young crop of Jason Dominguez, Volpe, and those type of players to graduate and get to this point. I think a lot of people had Dominguez kind of situated as a late, what's happening right now, I think most people thought would happen next year at this time. I mean, Ryan, you and I both thought that he needed a year. He would get called up. We didn't expect the Yankees to be in this position, obviously. And if the Yankees were in the playoffs, were going to make the playoffs, Jason Dominguez would not be called up right now. But I'm happy that they're giving them the opportunity because, look, if you're going to give your prospects opportunities to play in the month of September, you might as well go all in. If you think Dominguez is going to be a starter in 2024 and he's going to be vying for a starting job during spring training, you need to be giving him MLB at-bats now because he needs to be able to adjust and see exactly what's going to happen. So I'm pretty excited to see Dominguez take this next step forward. I mean, look, he has 8 games in AAA, guys. It's a tiny sample size. But one thing I like about what the Yankees are doing here is that they're building off the momentum that he has. This isn't a player that was red hot and then he kind of simmered down. He had a couple of bad weeks and then, they elevated him. He is on fire right now. Everything he touches is a hit. Every time he gets in the batter's box, positive things happen. The Yankees have won 4 of their last 8 games with the prospects called up. They were losing, 6 of their last 7 of their last 8 games with the veterans up. So these young guys, they're stealing bases. They're showcasing athleticism. They're hitting for a bit of contact. Volpe's hitting for power. For God's sake, he has 6 homers in August. He's 1 homer away from a 2020 season. I think right now, I'm really excited. Now, I want to touch on the Volpe situation really quickly because a lot of people think that he should be transitioning to second base. It's almost like an incomprehensible amount of people believe that he's a better second baseman. I like Gleyber Torres. A lot of people are like, let's trade Gleyber Torres. Are we really going to trade our second best hitter, guys? I think that's probably a net negative move. He has 1 more year left of arbitration. I like Gleyber. I think he's a positive impact on this team, and he's gotten better. If you didn't see it, go check out the Fireside Yankees Twitter account. Ryan posted a comparison of what he's done to impact, I think it was his 2-strike batting stance or what he's doing in these key moments, and has actually seen some pretty significant improvements. Volpe, we were looking this morning, his batting stance has changed. His hips are a little bit wider open. He has a little bit of a wider stance, and his bat, the angle of which he's actually swinging his hands are a little bit, I don't know. You have to see it to kind of get an idea. Maybe I'll post a picture of right where this is happening right now. But when you actually see what they're doing here, the development of some of these players is positive. The young guys, at least. The older guys are kind of stuck in their ways, except for DJ LeMahieu. He's taken a big turnaround here. And Ryan, if you don't recall, I did say I thought DJ was going to be the one guy that turned it around this year. I was like, I think DJ still got gas enough to the tank. Players like that don't see such a massive drop off. So I think DJ can still be an asset for us as that utility man. But going forward here, I think Volpe's situated at shortstop. He has really solid defensive metrics this year. 14 defensive runs saved, 3 outs above average. He's probably one of the best defensive shortstops we've had in a decade. So when you're looking at Anthony Volpe, he's also gotten bigger. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he looks a little bit stronger and bigger. What are your thoughts on Volpe as he's been kind of taking some steps forward, looking a little bit more consistent, and starting to gain his confidence back a bit?
Yeah, so obviously the big point in which you're like, okay, this is where Anthony Volpe kind of found it, right? That was the batting stance change, right? Like if you guys remember, obviously that big chicken parm thing, right? Austin Wells comes over, they have chicken parm, they figure something out in his swing, they find something that changed in his batting stance, and since that point in time, he's slugging 460, he's hit 10 home runs in 241 plate appearances, he has a 119 WRC plus. If that's the player that Anthony Volpe is at the plate going forward and into next year, that is a very exciting profile, and that's a very exciting player, right? I mean, if you're getting 119 WRC plus production from a guy that, as you mentioned, isn't just like our best defensive shortstop in a decade, he's the franchise leader in defensive runs saved and outs above average in anyone's career as a shortstop for the New York Yankees. I understand that those are both newer metrics, all things considered. Like defensive runs saved have been around for about 20 years. Outs above average for infielders has been around for a little bit over half a decade. But that's still, in 20 years, Anthony Volpe was able to take the DRS crown from anybody that's ever played for the Yankees. And for some reason, Starlin Castro was the guy, I think, who held the outs above average lead for shortstop, which is just sure. But all things considered, right, like the Yankees have not had historically great defense at shortstop. Anthony Volpe is a very good defensive shortstop. I think he should win the American League Gold Glove, right? Like he's now going to be first in defensive runs saved because I imagine Wander Franco is not going to be eligible for the award. That's an entirely different conversation that I'm not going to get into. In outs above average, positive there. UZR, positive there. So he's going to have a lot of the defensive metrics and a lot of the defensive value stuff on his side. I want to see him run more. Yankees, anyone on the Yankees watching this, I don't think anyone on the Yankees is watching this, but I hope they are. Let the guy run. There's no reason why he should not attempt 40 steals a year. I don't know how many he'll convert, but the guy stole 50 bases in minor league baseball last year. You can't let him attempt 40. I mean, good Lord, the guy is not allowed to run. He finally stole 30 yesterday. I'm like, dude, it was easy for him. Yeah, he's been caught a few times. He's still 21 for 26. That's a great rate. Let the dude steal bases. That's what he does well. Let him go out and ball out. I think he'll get a lot better doing it. I think his value to the team gets a lot better doing it. I think the really big point here that you mentioned, and there are two things I'm going to talk about here, but the one I really want to emphasize is the playing time, rewarding prospects with playing time. Creating a system where, as you mentioned, there aren't that many major league commitments means, yeah, if you're not doing what you need to do to win games, the Yankees will find someone in their system to do it. Anthony Rizzo, DJ LeMahieu, Giancarlo Stanton. Those three veterans regressing the way they did for various reasons. Rizzo, concussion. LeMahieu, I have actually no idea why he started striking out more. Stanton's lost a lot of bat speed. He's got, he was hurt, multiple times over the last few years, and I imagine that's hurt his bat speed, but he's not the player he once was before. But here's kind of the key thing here. Speed, movement. Those are things you can work on. And Driveline, the Dodgers sent a bunch of players over there. Guys like JD Martinez, who is 36 years old. Jason Hayward, he is 35 and got DFA'd by the Cubs. He has like a 120 WRC plus. I'm sorry, Giancarlo Stanton, DJ LeMahieu, Anthony Rizzo, if they're not willing to do bat speed training over the offseason to make sure, when you move quick and when you move efficiently, you generate a lot of force and energy. And when you're generating a lot of force and energy, you can drive the baseball and get great results. And with the exception of DJ LeMahieu, Stanton and Rizzo, you expect them to be home run hitters. And when they're not home run hitters, they're really hurting your lineup. So if you're going to be slow and you're going to be old, at least move quick with your bat. And if they're not willing to do that, fine. All right, Ben Rice, he's got like a 190 WRC plus. He's got 18 home runs across 3 different levels. 14 of them in under 40 games in Double-A. He'll take one of their spots. You've got Spencer Jones is on the way soon. If Spencer Jones is on the way and he has a really good finish to his season, what that means is that he's going to push the AAA conversation. And if Dominguez and Pereira are still here, that means that they're going to have 4 outfielders that you anticipate will play a role on the Yankees in 2024 or 2025, and there's only 3 outfield spots. So that DH spot becomes more valuable. If those 3 guys aren't willing to do what it takes to get their bat speed better and get themselves back to where they need to be, and I'm not saying this as a personal shot. I respect all 3 of them as players. They've had great careers, but unfortunately, you can't keep starting on this team. The conversation in the offseason has to look like this. If you're not named Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, or I think Gleyber Torres has kind of earned this too. Gleyber Torres earns to have earned that second base job going into spring training. There shouldn't be questions about that. But really, outside of a few guys, everyone in that clubhouse should be told, if you aren't willing to make massive improvements over this offseason, if you aren't going to go to driveline, if you aren't going to tread or whatever it may be to go work on certain things, we can't guarantee you that you will be starting on opening day. That's that conversation. People can say, well, the front office failed them, this and that. And I don't disagree. The front office hasn't necessarily put them in the best position to succeed. But at the end of the day, those are the guys they acquired, right? They acquired Giancarlo Stanton. They acquired Anthony Rizzo. And the purpose for that was to win games. The purpose for that was to hit home runs. The purpose of that was to score runs. And they haven't. So really, the thing that this prospect wave means, at least to me, is that the Yankees are going to have an opportunity to say, all right, we don't have as many commitments. Josh Donaldson's gone financially, so you don't have to say, all right, we have to try to figure out a way to get Josh Donaldson going. IKF isn't guaranteed to be here. Harrison Bader's on waivers, so likely get claimed today. I think you saw that Randy Miller report. He's not even showing up to play. He's showing up to just say goodbye, which understandably so. You don't want him to get hurt. You have a lot of free agents in the pitching staff. Peralta, Middleton, Severino, Montas. Schmidt has earned his way into conversations for the rotation next year. He's starting today. Let's see if he follows that up. But a lot of guys are going to have to make a lot of improvements. But that prospect pool, they performed very well this year, and they should be rewarded with playing time over guys who have disappointed, not just this year, but really since the start of last August.
I think that's the main point here, is they should be rewarded for how well they've played in the minor league system. The Yankees need to send a message to their minor leaguers and say, hey, if you kick ass, we are going to promote you. We're going to give you playing time. We're going to give you a chance to compete and earn a role with one of the most historic sports franchises in the world, in the history of the world. So I think that enough gets the most out of players sometimes. I think Dominguez is going to come up here and really show out. Tomorrow it's Justin Verlander. That's going to be tough. If Jason Dominguez even gets a hit tomorrow, I'll be very excited, because Verlander, obviously one of the best pitchers of all time. It's going to be a tough test for some of these guys, but I'll tell you what, you got to go against the best to be the best. Iron sharpens iron mentality. These young prospects, look, I'd rather see them than IKF or Bader or Jake Bowers or Billy McKinney, whoever the hell we trot out there, who's going to be gone after this season anyway. So this is an opportunity for the Yankees to do the right thing. They're going to do the right thing. They are doing the right thing, and we've been hammering this home, Ryan, for weeks. We have been on this train for weeks, and if you guys have been watching us, this has been our perspective. They should be calling these guys up, giving them chances. It's nice to see that come to fruition, because we're on the right track. Like, we're thinking the right way in terms of preparing for the future. Now it's just about actually executing and seeing what we have. We obviously don't know just yet, but we'll keep you guys updated as always on the Fireside Yankees podcast. There's a lot more to come, a lot of breakdowns coming on these players, especially once the season wraps up here. We'll do some player breakdowns on how Dominguez performed during the regular season, really just a month of sample size. We can look into that, take a look at what he struggled with, what he succeeded with. Obviously, I have Everson Pereira. We'll have a little bit of Austin Wells, see if he can, perform well as a catcher at the MLB level. There's a lot of questions, and we're going to get a lot of answers. So guys, make sure to keep in touch, keep in tune with Fireside Yankees. As always, my friends, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.